So the last time I attempted a thru hike of the Pacific Crest Trail was in 2018, and I failed. I was not successful. I made it about 1,000 miles, and even though I had a great plan in place and I did a lot of things right, I also did a lot of things wrong. And ultimately, I think it's those mistakes that I made are what led me to quitting the trail. Because certainly I had the resolve. I wanted it. I wanted it so bad, but I still failed. So this time around, I'm attempting the PCT again here in 2022. So I guess a 4-year anniversary. And I want to take stock in, what did I do right last time and what did I do wrong last time, and how can I change that? How can I make this next trip a successful one? Because since 2018, I've hiked a lot. I've hiked across Kentucky on the Sheltowee Trace Trail. I've done half of the Pacific Northwest Trail, the Uinta Highline Trail, the Long Trail, Tahoe Rim Trail, Arizona Trail, Florida Trail again, and certainly some other stuff I'm forgetting. But so let's get into this. What did I do right and what did I do wrong? So the first thing I feel like I did well was I saved money. I had enough money saved for my entire trip. Right now, my goal is to hike the PCT, and I'm just going to do whatever I can to achieve that. So, there's a lot of things that I'm kind of sacrificing right now so that I can go do that thing. In the end, it's kind of just prioritizing that thru hike over everything else. How badly do you want it? And alternatively, how badly do you want the thru hike versus whatever else you're trying to buy? Generally, in my case, I find that I want to do the thru hike more. I think the second thing I had done well was I had looked into the weather and I had looked into the trail. I'd really done my research and I knew what I was getting myself into. So it's your comfort that is certainly on the line, and that can be a huge factor. If you're not comfortable on the trail with the gear you have, then you're going to be spending more money in towns at hotels, and you're not going to be happy hiking every day. And ultimately, we want to be, and we have to be, to successfully thru hike, we have to be happy to be out there and happy to be carrying around and lugging around this backpack up and down mountains through the heat, through the cold, whatever it may be. And something that I like to do, and I do this all the time for every single trail I do, is finding someone that started around the same time you are starting the trail and looking at the gear that they brought. A lot of times you can find where they've done post-trail gear reviews. I know I do those frequently, and a lot of times you can find blogs and trail journals and all sorts of information where they've talked about what worked and what didn't work. The third thing I feel like I did well was, as always, I packed light. I had a super ultralight backpack. I wasn't carrying too much, and generally I was very happy with what I was carrying. A lighter backpack in general is going to mean less stress on your knees, less stress on your ankles, on your feet, on your muscles, on your shoulders, and on your back. A lighter backpack is going to mean you're expending less energy with every step. On this channel, you can find I've done many videos on how to lighten up, how to get a lighter backpack, or tips to be more ultralight. And certainly I'm not the only one. There's a lot of videos and blog posts out there on how to lighten up your backpack. And now I'm sure there's many other things that I feel like I did well, but this is the last one that kind of comes to mind, and the last big one. I feel like I was eating enough food. I've hiked a lot. I hiked a lot prior to the PCT. That was not my first thru hike attempt. That was not my first thru hike. It was not my first backpacking trip. So you gotta eat. Food is fuel, and food is what's gonna get you the miles. So I recommend always and forever with any of these tips, to go out on your local trails and do some backpacking trips. Do some long hiking days. Try and do a 15-mile day hiking and see what type of food you're eating, and ask yourself, was that enough or should I be eating more? Personally, I like to eat every hour on the hour from the time I wake up to the time I go to sleep. But it's best to just find what works for you. You know, some people would prefer a big breakfast, a big lunch, and a big dinner. If I had saved enough money, if I knew what I was getting myself into when it comes to weather and the trail itself, if I had a lightweight backpack, and if I was eating enough food every day, then, well, what did I do wrong? You know, why do I think I failed? The first thing that will immediately come to my mind, and people that have been following this channel for a long time could guess, is I started out too fast, too soon. I didn't let my body kind of get used to the day-to-day hiking. And although that isn't like 100% why I quit the trail, it is a huge factor. You know, when you're starting out on the PCT, take your time. You know, certainly for the first week, and I'd recommend even longer, you know, until you feel ready. And if you feel ready and then you go for it and you blast some big miles and then suddenly you're not feeling great, slow down again. Slow down. I still want to do the trail fast. You know, that's something I've really grown to enjoy, is putting in those big days. But, you know, now when it comes to the beginning of the PCT and the beginning of my hike, I am going to be, you know, a little bit more careful about that, and, you know, listening more to my body and what it's telling me to do. You know, if I feel great, I'm going to go for it. But if I don't feel great, then I'm going to stop. I'm going to slow down. I'm going to take that time. It can work, and it can be okay to go too fast too soon if you've trained hard, if your body is ready for that. And that's where this next thing comes in. I mentioned in the saving money tip that I was working a metal fabrication job where I was making great money. It was perfect for that, but it was hard work. And every single day after work, as I'm sure many of you watching, I was tired. I was so tired. I just wanted to come home from work and do nothing. I definitely didn't want to go running, cycling, hiking more. So that's where my next thing comes in. You know, I didn't train for the PCT. I trained a little bit, but I hadn't really dieted prior. You know, I didn't really put in a ton of miles on the trail like I had for previous thru hikes, you know, so the no training really kind of compounded and made my starting out too fast too soon thing so much worse, because I was a little bit overweight and my legs weren't ready. So I'm eating very clean, maybe trying to lose just 5-10 pounds or something like that. I've got 3-4 months to do that. But in general, I'm just trying to be super active, and I'm trying to eat good. You know, I'm trying to go into this trail healthy and ready to hike. You want to go into this trip prepared, and I think that's what I learned from the last hike, and what I'm trying to take into this hike is I'm trying to be more physically prepared, both healthier with the food I'm eating and, you know, have a lot more miles underneath my feet, aside from whatever hiking experience I've had in the past years. Now, those first two tips were the real big ones. I feel like those were really what screwed me. And we'll get into, if you haven't heard, we'll get into why I quit in 2018. But let's go over this third one, because I think it's still really important. You know, I mentioned that I was eating enough, but I'll also say I was not drinking enough water. And that was a problem. Because, you know, obviously the days are hot. You're hiking through the Southern California desert, and you really need to be consuming water, because if you aren't and you're becoming dehydrated, you know, maybe your mental capacities aren't as high as maybe they would be because you're a little bit dehydrated. You know, maybe you're starting to stumble on some rocks because you're dehydrated and you're not moving as fluidly as you would if you were fully hydrated, or, you know, whatever. Anyway, so I wasn't drinking enough water, and ultimately I think that was leading to some poor movement, some poor hiking. And now we'll get into why I quit the PCT in 2018, because I think it kind of fits right here. I had tripped on a rock while I was going down Mount San Jacinto, and when I landed on another foot. You know, I caught myself, but I think I landed on top of another rock, and I wound up breaking my foot. I broke a metatarsal, which would kind of be like one of these bones here, and I broke a toe. So I broke 2 bones in my foot because I tripped on a rock while I was going down a mountain. A few pounds heavier than I should have been. I maybe tripped because I was a little bit dehydrated, and I should have trained a little bit more. You know, so I had done quite a few things right on this thru hike, and certainly I had a fair amount of experience prior to setting out there. But you know, that's, I guess, the beauty with backpacking is there's always something more to learn. And you know, even if you do fall, even if you do fail, then you can always get back up and try it again and take those lessons into the future. And I think that's what I'm trying to do here, and that's what I'm trying to share with you guys, the lessons I had learned from the past. So I've got a few months here to kind of keep preparing, to keep running, keep cycling, keep eating good, and you know, keep saving money. So if you have found this helpful, or if you've just enjoyed this type of content, then please subscribe to this channel and give me a little thumbs up on the video. You know, I really appreciate that. And if you're hiking the trail with me, I hope to see you out there. Anyway, I'll catch you in the next one.